Hello, I'm John WOMERSLEY. I've just stepped down as Director General of the European Spallation Source, and I'd like to share with you some studies that we've recently completed on the impact of ESS, which I think will be of interest. These are taken from a study that was carried out by Professor Li Ying's group at the Technical University of Denmark, funded by the EU project Brightness 2. And the motivation was to start to capture the impacts of the construction of a large research infrastructure and prototype and develop methodologies and metrics that we can use to capture the impact during the operations phase of ESS. Now, of course, the major measure of the success of any research infrastructure will be its scientific impact. And ESS will not start doing science until the middle of this decade. So the scientific impact case for ESS was based on the relevance of the research that will be carried out in key research areas like energy, environment, and the life sciences, current European strength in these areas, the ability for ESS to do substantially better, as you can see from this chart here, than existing facilities, and the interest of key industry partners. And my only point here is to note that over the 10 years since this business case was originally put together, this has only strengthened. The relevance of climate change and recently of COVID-19 has certainly strengthened the need for research capability in areas like energy and the life sciences. Now, building an innovative research infrastructure should itself generate publications, and we've monitored that and found 650 publications by the end of 2018, with an interesting co-authorship with other research facilities, universities, and industry. And we've also tracked the citations of those and monitored the fraction that are in open access, which is higher than the global average. Tied to publications is publicizing the research infrastructure, communications, visits, and outreach. And we've monitored the number of visitors on site, which is substantial, as you can see, and the online articles and newspaper articles and the potential audience. And some of these visits have been pretty high profile. The bottom right picture shows the United Nations Security Council visiting ESS at the time when Sweden was the rotating chair of this body. Now, for a modern research infrastructure, one needs to broaden the metrics to include things like the carbon footprint, whether the data is made open and fair, and support for innovation and spin-outs. And so in all of these areas, ESS has taken steps to make sure that we're aligned with future expectations and not just past best practice. With a green construction site, all the electricity being purchased from renewable sources, and the waste heat from the electrical machinery in the accelerator being used as part of the district heating system. All of the data will be made open and accessible through the European Open Science Cloud, and there'll be support for science and innovation spin-outs and startups at a science and innovation campus between ESS and the Swedish Max 4 light source. So let's shift now to the impact of actually constructing the facility. ESS is roughly 75% complete, and that means that something like 1.5 billion euros have now been spent or committed in the two host countries, Sweden and Denmark, and the other 11 member countries. And any large construction project will have significant impact. Simply spending the money is going to generate economic activity. But the extra added value of a research infrastructure will be through attracting and training skilled staff, upskilling suppliers, and driving innovation in the supply chain. So these are what we've looked at. As far as staffing is concerned, a brain gain was always foreseen as one of the advantages of ESS, as you can see from this whiteboard sketch on the bottom right. And we've monitored staffing. More than 200 highly qualified people have been attracted to Lund in Sweden, where ESS is located, from over 45 countries now. The staff mix is roughly 40% Swedish, 40% from other European countries, and 20% from the rest of the world. So there's been a really global attraction of highly skilled staff. 32% of the staff are female, which again is higher than typical for research infrastructures, but not uniformly spread throughout the organization, as you might imagine. So the staffing going forward will be highly international and has been attracted to the area by the construction of the facility. As far as construction itself is concerned, ESS has so far placed almost 200 large contracts over 50,000 euros through a competitive tender process with typically 2 to 3 tenders per contract. And we've surveyed the suppliers of ESS. 37% reported experiencing increased productivity, 20% had entered a new market, and of the non-off-the-shelf survey respondents, 50% said they'd improved their technical know-how and derived many other innovation benefits. These kind of procurements are typically areas like cryogenic machines, and you can see this custom-built refrigerator by Linde, and electrical machinery. ABB, for example, is a very big supplier of transformers and electrical equipment for ESS. These contracts have also driven innovation, and again, the survey, 36 to 40% of the contracts were for new or innovative products and services. More than 50% of the remainder were highly customized, requiring substantial rework, and the benefits were spread across all the ESS member states. So the procurements were Europe-wide and indeed in some cases global. Now, one of the features of ESS and other large research infrastructures like it is that in-kind contributions from the non-host member states play an important role. Significant technical work packages are procured or constructed in the partner countries rather than centrally by ESS management. The partner holds the budget and must therefore manage the risk. And this is a project management challenge, especially the installation and integration of this kind of distributed supply chain. But it's a political necessity because it exploits the strengths of national labs in partner countries. ESS is being built at a greenfield site, which has not hosted a large research infrastructure before, so it doesn't have a large in-house engineering team. It spreads the economic benefit, and it avoids a situation where the region that is hosting the research infrastructure benefits from everybody else's financial investments. In the case of ESS, the non-host countries, that's not Sweden and Denmark, are contributing roughly 70% of their commitments to ESS in the form of in-kind contributions. That makes the in-kind share about 35% overall, which is just about manageable. The host countries pay in cash, and they benefit from the large investments then in civil construction and in installation. In contrast, some projects like ITER, the thermonuclear experimental facility in Cadarache, have a much higher fraction of in-kind contributions, which makes them very, very hard to manage. So as far as the in-kind contributions are concerned, ESS has taken care to ensure that in-kind contributions come from all the countries. And this has meant working with some of the newer European states in Central and Eastern Europe to build up their capability and capacity and take advantage of European regional development funding to do so. The political benefits of this kind of approach are shown in the picture in the bottom right, where the president of Italy came to personally hand over part of the accelerator infrastructure and was greeted by the King of Sweden and the various science ministers, as you can see. So that was a great publicity opportunity for ESS, as well as an opportunity to get access to excellent engineering from INFN in Italy. These in-kind contributions have also been surveyed, and we've asked the vast majority of the in-kind partners how they've benefited, and nearly 3/4 of the in-kind contributions require either highly customized or new or advanced products, technologies, and services. So this is, again, driving innovation through the partner institutions. And a typical in-kind contribution is shown on the right, a piece of the particle accelerator. Now, one of the obvious but understated aspects of economic impact during the construction phase is that there are still huge benefits to the host region despite the in-kind contribution model. Over 80% of the commercial contracts and 66% of the high-value contracts have gone to Swedish suppliers because geographical proximity is often a good thing when you're building a large facility. And this is reflected and recognized then by Sweden paying a large fraction of the total construction cost, much larger than the anticipated fraction that Sweden will pay of the eventual operating costs of the facility. And you can see the very large number of suppliers in Sweden and the very large fraction of contract value that has been placed with Swedish suppliers, dominated by a single 520 million euro construction contract to Skanska, which is a global multinational, but a Swedish company as well. We've also developed a way for non-European countries to participate in this project in future, though currently there are none on board, as an associate member of ESS with the same kind of in-kind benefits to future partners who have not yet been present from the beginning of construction, to get the chance to build an instrument, join existing instrument teams, and thereby gain access to the whole of the facility and profit from the new scientific opportunities of ESS. So the benefits which I've shown in terms of innovation and in terms of working locally are available to new partners both in Europe and outside if they choose to join ESS. So finally, I think we all agree in this conference that investment in research capability is essential if we are to address the huge challenges facing the society and the economy. And international research infrastructures are a key part of the solution. But as very large investments of public funding, they attract a lot of scrutiny and they require a robust investment case. So ESS offers a good example. The original investment case has been updated now with impact data from the first 5 years of construction, which I've summarized for you. The lessons here are to start collecting your data early, collect a wide range of metrics because you don't a priori know what will subsequently be of interest or demonstrate the best case, and use interviews and surveys with your supply chain to capture the impacts during the construction phase. So I can now say with confidence that construction of a large facility like ESS has a real and positive impact in attracting a talented workforce and in driving innovation in the high-tech supply chain, both through contract procurement and through in-kind procurement. And the major science impacts of ESS are, of course, still to come. Thank you very much.